Our so-called affirmative action president, a criminal, someone who's brain dead, talk about affirmative action. He's president because of affirmative action, because otherwise we wouldn't have such an idiot and a fool and a criminal as president, has just gone on TV complaining that the Supreme Court has ruled that affirmative action is illegal under the 14th Amendment. Duh, duh, duh. Let me repeat myself 3 times because that's what Biden does. Or let me cough. Huh, huh, huh. Let me cough. I don't know, maybe he's trying to figure out whether he has a hernia or not. But there is some humor here to watch it because it's long since been established from the day that our Declaration of Independence and Constitution was enacted and put into effect that all Americans are equal. This didn't take a rocket scientist. The Supreme Court is entitled to no accolades for affirming that, our corrupt Supreme Court. And it doesn't take any accolades to thank them for nullifying Biden's illegal student loan program, which is also based on a type of affirmative action for young people that don't feel like working, that live in their parents' basement and want a cash subsidy, bankrupting the country. It is not time to celebrate the Supreme Court. It should have done this decades ago. It is time to move on. That when in the course of human events, the government, the so-called government, no longer represents the people, under the laws of nature and nature's God, they have a right to alter or abolish that government and to form a new government with equal rights for everyone. Well, Supreme Court affirmed what was already in the Constitution, but we don't have equal rights today because those people who are not the rich and the powerful, those people who are not Joe Biden, who can't wire things, or on the Republican side, Mitch McConnell, or Speaker Kevin McCarthy, those people who go to Washington relatively modest in means but come out multimillionaires. We're not equal to them. We live not just in a dictatorship run by the left currently, we live in a dictatorship where collaboration occurs on both sides of the political aisle, Democrat and Republican, to keep the American people down, to keep us with crumbs while they walk off with riches. So while it's helpful that the Supreme Court clarified what our Constitution plainly says on its face, it is entitled to no great praise here. But who is entitled to the praise? Those patriots on January 6th who peacefully walked into our Capitol to protest the rank corruption in our government. And I will defend them to my death. And I will defend others to my death who go against our corrupt government, which has permeated every aspect of our country to the point that we're on our knees, we're on our backs, gasping for air as our rights and liberties are being extinguished as we speak. The fact that the Supreme Court made such a ruling does not mean that affirmative action won't still be in effect at schools like the University of California, Berkeley, Harvard, Yale, University of Pennsylvania, Stanford, even my alma mater, Duke University, which has gone south, pun intended, in the last few decades, which has become the Berkeley of the South. They'll still do it. They'll just call it another name, just like what Biden was saying this morning when he gave his ridiculous speech. They obviously had him jacked up on steroids to keep him lucid for about 10 minutes. But he says, oh, we will admit people based on adversity. What does that mean? That means that's a backhanded way of doing it on race. And I can tell you myself, if I have an applicant for Freedom Watch or my law firm who had a tougher way getting to the top, yeah, I will take that into account. I don't care what race you are. It is something to take into account. But what Biden was talking about and what these leftist universities will continue to do is that they'll use that as a loophole to what the Supreme Court wrote to continue with affirmative action. And in the case of this matter, which gave rise to the Supreme Court decision today, where Asian Americans were discriminated against at Harvard, Asian Americans who worked very hard to get what they deserve. This applies to all of us, and it applies across the board. The American way, not as being practiced by our corrupt government and those who support it, the American way is equal rights for everyone. And in the words of Martin Luther King, We're to be judged on the content of our character and our ability, not on the color of our skin. Go to freedomwatchusa.org. Join our Justice League. Hold the criminals accountable with our own justice system, peacefully and legally. See what we're doing with our citizens' grand juries. Get my book, It Takes a Counter-Revolution, Wake Up America, and let's pull together. We need your help. We need your tax-deductible contributions. We need to get bigger. We are your Justice Department. The only Justice Department in the government is one that behaves like Hitler's Gestapo. I'll be back tomorrow with another special podcast. Until then, remember, the Father and Son will only help us if we help ourselves. Thank you for listening to me. And look at my hat. It says an A. A, what does the A mean? Doesn't mean the aces on the Live Golf Tours exclusively. It means that we need to bear down and we need to score an A, not a B, C, or D, an A in promoting equal rights for everyone in this country. God bless you.